Now, I don't know how this is going to make you drop the pounds, but hey, and at the same time, who am I? You know what I'm saying? But apparently there's a bizarre fitness crave where people laugh hysterically. Now, they always said laughter is good for the soul, but for your weight loss, I don't know. I don't know, but we're going to get to it and everything else. So listen, you know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it. No judgment. No judgment. But I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. You put the right kind of scary music with that background music, I don't like it. I don't want to be near it because it just comes off as like crazy weird. Yes. I don't know, man. Just something feels crazy about that. Like that might be a new cult or something.
What if I told you that every person you've ever met is actually you? This is the egg theory. The egg theory says that we are one soul living every life. Mind blowing. The egg theory teaches that we're here to grow, learn, and understand. That person who hurts you, they're you. That person you love, also you. Here's how to apply this idea. Treat others with kindness. It's like being kind to yourself. Find lessons in every interaction. They help in your soul. Practice empathy. We are all connected in this journey. It's deep, but it changes how you see the world.
So my mom got scammed and robbed today out of $30,000. Yes, $30,000. And I wanted to talk about it so that way everyone could remind their loved ones, their parents, their grandparents that these scams exist and they are tricky. So she calls me and tells me that she'd been scammed out of $30,000. My mom's not super good with technology. She's got like an old PC at home. Anyways.
That's when I'd have been like, Mom, hey, you dress? Get dressed. I don't know where they at, but we going to find them, bro. Pack up. Let's go. Mount up. Mount up. Mount up.
This scammer or group of scammers did research on my mom before scamming her. They looked into what bank she has money at. And somehow they found out how much money she had in accounts. I don't even know. They looked into like, even if she had 401ks, whatever. It starts out with her telling me that she recently got an antivirus software uploaded and installed in her computer by like a computer technician nerd guy. It's about like $12.50 a month. So the payment was coming up on the first month of this virus protection, and the scammers even research like when your payment is coming up for like your antivirus protection. Somehow they knew all of this information. Anyways, they like email my mom and tell her that she's been hacked and like she has to keep her money safe and that this is like the Federal Trade Commission or whatever.
Let me guess what happens next. Possibly they need to either take over your computer or send you a link or something like that. This just seems like what's about to happen, or that's what I've been noticing them doing lately. The link or take over your computer or something to that nature.
And this is like some top secret thing and she can't tell anyone and they threatened her. Some crazy like that. They made it sound like everyone's a suspect. This is like top secret. And the details that she went into were very convincing because again, they knew a lot about her life. They even pretended at some point that they were like transferring her to her bank, which is called Achieva. And they like specifically said, we're going to transfer you to Achieva. And then they transferred her to Achieva, her bank, and said they were going to like help protect her money by like transferring it into this account, whatever. Anyways, the details and the length and the depth of scheming that these people went to was insane. And this was kind of like a several day process. Long story short, she was so scared, like she felt like she couldn't tell anyone. So no one knew what was happening. No one could like put the pieces together or like be like, wait a minute. And she knew that certain things were red flaggy, but she was so scared, and they had so much data on her and so much added up to where she had no choice but to believe them. And she's older, you know, she's not from this technology generation. My point being is, please remind your parents, your grandparents that these scams exist, and to always consult a family member, or at least someone, no matter what. This just sucks because none of us knew, because they put her in such a fear and threat state that like she felt like she couldn't tell anyone. So yeah, my mom literally lost $30,000 today, and she doesn't have a lot of money, and I don't have that money to give her. Just so unfortunate, because my mom is a really good person. Like, she's like an angel. Like, ever since a teenager, she's been to bed by 9 p.m.
And that seems like who they're targeting. You know what I mean? The good people. You know, the banks, I don't know what we can do. Maybe somebody smarter than me who works at a bank or any of these institutions can come up with some kind of way to make sure these people get their money back. Especially if you can clearly show where somebody took your money and you didn't authorize it, or they swindled you into it. You can show the documentation where you were being threatened and everything like that, and you didn't know what to do. There should be some kind of process to be able to get her money back. This isn't fair.
Up at 5 a.m. She's never been drunk. Like, she's a saint. This really just sucks. Like, she was crying all day today. So just a friendly reminder out there, be freaking careful. People are out there scamming. So my mom.
Again, these jokers are good at what they do. To be able to get all of your information, know when your bill is about to drop. Like, they are good. And it sucks to say, but they're doing nothing but getting better. These scams, pretty soon we ain't even going to be able to tell the difference.
Officials in the Dominican Republic are not releasing any identities other than the one of the missing student from the University of Pittsburgh. 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki was last seen on surveillance camera with 7 other people. The Dominican National Emergency System is coordinating search efforts on the island for Konanki. And what I was able to find out overnight through a law enforcement source in the Dominican Republic was that a young man is being interviewed by the Dominican National Police because he is believed to have been the last person she was with. 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki was last seen on surveillance camera with 7 other people entering the beach at the Rio Republica Hotel in Punta Cana on Thursday at 4:15 in the morning. According to my source, 5 young women and 1 young man who were with her left the beach area at 5:55 a.m., but Konanki stayed behind with 1 young man who was also part of the group. That young man is seen on surveillance video leaving the beach area 4 hours later at 9:55 in the morning. Konanki was reported missing at 4 in the afternoon that very same day. Overnight.
So you left the beach at 9:55, and this goes for the whole group too. Y'all didn't report her missing until 4 p.m. Nah. Yeah, I'd be questioning that whole group. Where the parents at? Question everybody about my child.
I also spoke on the phone with her father, who has traveled to the Dominican Republic. Subaraidu Konanki described his daughter as a very nice girl and a very ambitious young woman who wanted to pursue a career in medicine. She's a pre-med student at the University of Pittsburgh, where she was a junior.
Let's do a whole confession because I'm bored. So I remember this time I met this guy on social media who had just got out of prison. For what? I don't know. What's his name? I didn't ask. Okay, so he drove 3 hours to my city to meet him. Yeah, I just handed out my address to a random person. He came with his friend. He asked me was I alone to make sure I was alone. Of course, I'm alone. Come on in. So him and his friend came and they checked under my bed, in my closets, in every room to make sure I was alone. Red flag? No, of course not. We don't see those. That was some dangerous. Okay, anyway. So yeah, we did whatever, and his friend left, and then he spent the night, and then they left like the next day and drove back to wherever city they came from. I have no idea. He did stay in touch, but now he's back in prison again for what? I don't know. I didn't ask. So yeah. Whole confession. Let's do a
as a father, I would lose my mind. You did what? Bro. And then we wonder how people get in some of the situations that they get into or end up in. She don't even know who the dude was, not a name, not nothing. Just, okay, come on over. We did what we did. And oh my gosh, bro, some of y'all, yeah, this is one of those situations where I say have no survival skills. Because she could have definitely ended up on the back of a milk carton or some type of situation like that. On the news, breaking news. And we'd have been like, but how? How? We'd have never known this story.
Younger Americans are experiencing what they call peak stress, and they're experiencing it earlier than anyone. A survey of 2,000 adults found most people burn out at around 42 years old. But for Gen Z and millennial adults, now the ages 18 to 44, the highest point of their stress happens much younger, at 25 years old. Wow. So when they were asked what's causing their burnout, most people said finances, followed by politics, work, and their physical health. 7 out of 10 agree that it'll only get more challenging to be an adult within the next 10 years. Younger Americans are experiencing...
And they lucky they ain't grow up with some of the people we grew up with. The people that said, stop your whining. That's what people told us. And I ain't saying that to them because I get it. This is a different generation. They dealing with different things than we had to deal with. But some of the people I grew up with would have been like, what you complaining for? So what? Everybody out here is going through something and dealing with something. You think you special? Oh, you think you special? No, you ain't special. You just like everybody else. So you need to get out here, figure it out, quit crying and complaining, dust yourself off and get to it. Hard work. And a lot of times the hard work beat talent. Like they pulled no punches on us. They had no like empathy, sympathy, none of that for us. Now, this generation, they are dealing with a lot and they may need a little more sympathy than we, maybe our generation could just take that. But we have to approach them with a different approach. I keep saying this about Floridians, bro. Y'all are different. Y'all are different. The fact that y'all was just driving through that casually like nothing was wrong. y'all are different. Y'all are different, man. They just drove right through that, fam. I would have been home, house boarded up. You know what I'm saying? Putting sandbags out, all of that extra stuff out, and y'all just on my way to work, hit the windshield wiper. Let's keep driving tight. Yeah, y'all crazy down in Florida, man.
Increasingly, when Canadians come to the grocery store now, they're looking for Canadian goods. For example, Starbucks, obviously, multinational, mostly American brand, but come down the aisle ever so slightly, and you start to see the maple leaf, and that indicates it is a Canadian brand. If you're looking to stay domestic. So this Irresistibles brand, for example, usually there's something on here made in Canada from imported ingredients. So it's prepared here, not entirely Canadian. Of course, they don't grow coffee in Canada, but it's a Canadian firm. And you go into supermarkets, you go to other kinds of retail outlets. Now, increasingly, there is this movement here, buy Canadian, stay local, support the Canadian economy, if in fact these tariffs ever kick in. Increasingly, when Canadians go to the grocery...
Well, If it's doing nothing else, it's bringing them close together. And hey, I've said that before about us. We need to do the same thing throughout all this stuff. It should be bringing us close together. But what we doing? We out in the street arguing with each other in front of company. Everybody in the world's looking at us, and we arguing in front of company. No, if we're gonna argue, let's do it behind closed doors to where company don't see us. But we need to band together, support our own, build us up first. But, you know, nobody's listening to that.
What's sitting in here is the food for 108,000 children. So, because each one of these boxes represents one life.
Right. Naven Salem runs Adizia Nutrition in Rhode Island.
How did you do with the loading yesterday, though? You were loading like 25 containers?
We have about 25 containers scheduled to load. They're all on pause.
The nonprofit produces peanut paste to combat hunger in war zones and famine-stricken regions. The product isn't complicated. U.S.-grown peanuts, milk, sugar, oil, and vitamins blended together. The result might not look like much, but she says it can work miracles.
We're able to make 66 million pounds of Plumpy Nut in a year, and that's enough to reach 5 million children with those full 8-week treatments. So that's 5 million lives that are saved. And not only lives saved, but we're building the brain capacity that children can have with them for life. There is that moment of, wow, how did these boxes in this warehouse travel to 65 countries? Every packet of Plumpy Nut that we send says, "From the American people" on it. If you are a family who is in the worst crisis of your life, and it was the American people who showed up with the food that saved the life of your child, do you think that you would forget that? What's sitting in here is...
Now, I have a question. Just a thought that came to my mind while I'm watching this is, granted, yes, I support us feeding children to keep children alive. Let's not get that misconstrued first and foremost. Why can't we make some of that and give to our own homeless as well while we are helping others? So, you know, we can do both, right? We can do two things at once because it seems like it doesn't take much. According to her, it doesn't take much to make this, right? We have homeless and starving people here. Why we can't, in conjunction with sending that, give that to some of our own? Just a thought. You know, I'm not no rocket scientist or anything like that. But, you know, with just putting 2 and 2 together to make 4, I see an opportunity here to save some more lives, too. Just a thought, though, man. Who am I?
Where do you go for hope? Tonight, we go to the end of the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, 60 years ago on this day, to a backpack worn by John Lewis. In it, he'd put an orange, a toothbrush, overnight provision. What gave him the courage to stand there in the face of a beating that would crack his skull? I got the answer 50 years later when I asked about that backpack. In it, he'd put 2 books, more than just overnight reading. The first was The 7-Story Mountain by Thomas Merton, the monk who shared Lewis's Christian faith. Lots of believers can't make church on Sunday, let alone face attack dogs on a bloody one. Merton writes about how faith becomes action through hope. By hope, he writes, the abstract and impersonal become conviction. What I believe in faith, I make my own by hope. For Lewis, hope wasn't an abstraction offered in prayers at night. It was lived conviction. Through sacrifice and courage, he gave it life. The next book was The American Political Tradition, which starts with a quote from John Dos Passos. In times of change and danger, when there is a quicksand of fear under men's reasoning, a sense of continuity with generations gone before can stretch like a lifeline across the scary present. It's a similar message, but from a different source, that history can show a way when all around seemed dark. This is Bloody Sunday's legacy, a day when all evidence pointed only to despair, yet in time, faith in hope and history overcame it, leaving us a model of courage that asks, what do you put in your backpack?
An oil tanker and a cargo vessel have collided in the North Sea. a Coast Guard rescue operation is being coordinated. So this is breaking news coming in from HM Coast Guard that the alarm was raised at 9:48 a.m. A Coast Guard rescue helicopter from Humberside was called alongside lifeboats from Skegness, Bridlington, Maplethorpe and Cleethorpes. An HM Coast Guard fixed wing aircraft and nearby vessels with firefighting capability have also been deployed. The incident remains ongoing. An oil tanker.
So let's recap, y'all. Right? We had the drones, orbs in the air. Then we went to planes falling out the sky, which is still currently happening to this day. Right? Now we got ships colliding in the ocean. This don't seem like one of those end of the earth type movies to y'all. Not trying to fearmonger anybody. I'm just stating what I'm seeing. Like, because people swear we fearmongering. No, I didn't know stating the obvious was fearmonger. No, bro, we just talking about what we're seeing happen. No, yeah, this seems like something we've seen before in a movie. Don't get me wrong. I want to believe this is not real. I want to believe this is AI, but with everything we've seen, well, how will we go that route? First and foremost. Yeah, this is wow. Wow. But yet there are drones possibly.
Y'all, tell me why I came to the supermarket and why are the fruits so expensive? Crustables, $11. Everything is so expensive, bro. I really gotta start my own garden, man, and just start stocking up on products. This is outrageous. Y'all, tell me why.
Everybody's saying that now, starting their own garden. Like, we need a group chat, a garden group chat, so we can all share pointers on how we starting this new garden. Cause yeah, I wonder what store is that. Let me see if they say everything in a supermarket. Just say supermarket. I wonder what store is that. Like, you got to find them discount stores now. I was talking about that the other day. You need those discount stores to where, you know, you're grabbing the food, you really want to question it, but your pockets say you can't question it. You need it to survive. So you need those kind of Aldi type discount stores to find and different things like that. That's where we at now, unfortunately.
I wanted to help the American car makers until April 2nd. April 2nd, it becomes all reciprocal. What they charge us, we charge them. It's a big deal. The tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up. The globalists, the big globalists, have been ripping off the United States. They've been taking money away from the United States, and all we're doing is getting some of it back.
With everything that Trump is doing, I need to ask y'all this. Do y'all feel like he's saying to himself or to his constituents or to others around him that, you know, when people say to him, well, you know, the American people feel like this. Do you think his response to them is like, they don't know what they want or what they need? I know what's best for them. Do you think that's what his mindset is or what he's saying? Because there's a lot of people disagreeing with some of the things and stuff he's doing. So do you think that's his response is, you know, they'll be happy later on down the line. They just don't know it right now. I know what's best for them type thing. This is my question.
These big bright yellow letters spelling out Black Lives Matter near the White House are set to be painted over soon. This mural, installed during the 2020 racial justice protests, was created following George Floyd's murder, becoming a landmark in the city known as Black Lives Matter Plaza and made permanent shortly after. It was a statement of defiance from DC's mayor, Muriel Bowser, who had clashed with President Trump, then in his first term, over the presence of federal troops in the streets of the city in response to those protests. Mayor Bowser's decision to remove the mural comes amid calls by the president and other Republicans for more federal control of DC, and in the wake of federal jobs.
We have bigger fish to fry than fights over what has been very important to us and to their history, and especially in our ability to keep our city safe during that time. That mural played a very important part. But now our focus is on making sure our residents and our economy survives.
Is there going to be a government shutdown at the end of this week?
Could happen. I mean, the Democrats want that. They want to destroy the country. So I can't tell you, but it could happen. It shouldn't have happened, and it probably won't. I think the CR is going to get passed. We'll see, but it could happen. You never know. The Democrats are out of control.
President Trump urging Republicans to pass a stopgap spending bill before Friday's shutdown deadline. The House expected to vote on the bill tomorrow. It keeps the government funded at current spending levels through September. It provides more than $700 billion for non-defense spending, $900 billion for defense spending, and $6 billion for veterans' health care. Lawmakers are eager to turn their focus to the Trump agenda and pass a reconciliation bill to pay for it. And I spoke with the president about the tax extensions that he wants included. Watch this. You've got your New York and California lawmakers. They want the SALT deduction lifted.
Yeah.
It's at a limit of $10,000. Are you going to double it?
I'd love to see something happen on SALT. I'd like to see them give back some of that. The reason that people don't like it is because they don't have it, but everybody has it because it's a deduction. But I'd like to see a good portion of SALT be hit back. I also think it would have a big impact on the election, because I think you'd have a lot of congressmen get elected that maybe wouldn't get elected without it.
So is it a double? Is that right? To go to 20,000?
Well, there are 10 or so, and maybe they're trying to get it to 20, but I think that would be very good, yeah.
Joining me now is Maryland Congressman and House Freedom Caucus Chair Andy Harris. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Your reaction?
Well, look, we're going to do something on the SALT deduction, no question about it. I don't know where it's going to go, whether it's, we're going to take out the marriage penalty, I do believe, and I think we're going to increase it. So where it ends up, that's all going to be part of the negotiation on the reconciliation bill later this year.
So if you take out the marriage penalty, then that means you could actually double it from 10 to 20, and then you could have each person 20 and 20. So you take out the marriage penalty, that's $40,000. Is that what you hope?
Well, again, if you take out the marriage penalty, it would be 10 and 20. Some people talking about going to 15 and 30. We didn't inflation adjust it last time. We should have inflation adjusted it like we do most taxes. But we'll do something on it. There's no question about it. We will relieve the burden.
And how are you feeling about the vote tomorrow to keep the government funded?
I think it's going to be very close, Maria. I think it's probably going to be just like the one a couple of weeks ago. I think we'll win it by a vote, and I think there'll be enough sane Democrats in the Senate who don't want to shut down the government who will keep the government running. So,
okay, wow. So you think you'll get Democrat support there? Because I was thinking no Democrats would support you on any of that, which would be nuts. That's them saying, okay, I want the government to shut down, right?
That's absolutely right. You know, Maria, they're complaining about laying off thousands when they would be furloughing 1 million if they vote for a shutdown.
That's a great point. President Trump is...
Listen, man, my heart goes out to anybody, bro. And I'm going to continuously keep saying it, fam, because you're just walking around not knowing. Now it's a government shutdown that could do more damage here in the near future. So you don't know who's on your side right now. You don't know. And you wonder why I'd be like, hey, sometimes when the Republicans say something, I agree with it. Sometimes they say things I don't agree with it. Sometimes Democrats say something, I agree with it. Sometimes, and I don't agree with it. And you wonder why I'm neither one of them. This is crazy. And again, I ask, what happened to it being about the people?
Praising Elon Musk and Doge in my exclusive interview with him yesterday, saying, look, stop right there. He's done a great job. Watch this. Look, the Democrats say that Elon Musk and Doge are overstepping their bounds. You're right. What Elon Musk and Doge has been able to uncover is unbelievable. Half of us did not even realize.
And stop there. Because look, stop there. You just said, what he's done is unbelievable. He's found hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fake contracts, and I read them, just a tiny portion of them, the other night. Transgender surgery on mice. Ultimately, that the money that they sent comes back to a lot of the people that made those deals. So what he's also done is made people realize how many people should be cut. Normally you go in and you say, all right, cut 4% of your workforce. He said cut 50%, 60%, 70%. That's a big thing.
Congressman, what do you say? I know you're defending the recent cuts to the National Institutes of Health, telling Newsweek that Trump is protecting critical medical research and that the cuts will safeguard and allow expansion of testing. This was very important that you said this. Explain more.
So, Maria, when they fund a research project, they fund two things. They directly fund the actual research, and then they fund overhead to the institution. And that overhead has become very bloated over the years. These academic institutions have put all kinds of expenses into that, so that literally it could amount to 50, 60, 70% additional cost, which no private funding source will pay. So the administration cut that down to 15%, the indirect cost, that bloated overhead, which frees up a whole lot more money to fund actual research. And that's the goal.
Yep. And do you think that we're going to still be talking about funding, all of this research that led to COVID?
Well, we're going to change the direction of funding, no question about it. RFK Jr. wants to fund much more research into nutrition, which is what we really ought to do. We ought to be preventing chronic disease, and we ought to, find cures for it as well. But then we ought to turn our attention.
Now, that part does make sense, because we wouldn't have to do all this research if we were healthier. We wouldn't have all these issues and underlying issues that we're dealing with if our health was better. But the stuff that they're feeding us, putting on the shelves, is causing all this stuff. It's that, I know a lot of y'all are saying big pharma right now. And it's true. It's true. It's all about the money. They cared less about our health.
To preventing the disease that's making Americans overall sicker, not healthier, over the past few decades.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we're going to keep talking about this increasingly on this program.